All right, let's paint a picture of this impact for you now. We speak to Tshepo Mongoai, SABC Economics Editor. Tshepo, let's just start. I mean, we're seeing that report from NOMPO. We've heard what Sasol had to say last year, but one is asking, how bad could things get here?
Well, I think I must say this is the consequence of market concentration. When you have one big company that has monopoly in a particular market, if they move or they decide that they don't want to do that, then it just spells disaster for the local economy. If you listen to Sasol, they don't think it's a disaster. They actually downplaying the whole thing. And they are quite consistent in that there must be commitment in order for them to invest in bringing in liquefied petroleum from elsewhere in other parts of the country. But the issue is the gas users are quite worried. They're saying there is not enough time. We need to move now. If we have to reconfigure the connection, remember, obviously, they will have to use the current infrastructure, the REMCO pipeline, depending where they get this oil, gas that is imported. There has to be some infrastructure in place. Sasol is saying, we can do it, we can import it for you. But the offtake, I think they're talking about 100 petajoules in order for them to put their money and invest in the infrastructure to bring in this new gas. But the capacity, I think, of the current users is about 50 petajoules. So it's not enough to convince them to invest. So the government has stepped in, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. They are engaging the users so that we can expedite some of these plans. How and when, I don't know. 2026, if you have to put in some infrastructure, there's not much time. So they are worried that we could, find ourselves in a day zero when it comes to energy. Remember, there are a lot of industries downstream that are actually using this gas for their own manufacturing. It could be paper, it could be beverages, tiles, and so on. And that gas is piped into Gauteng, KZN for those users. So they don't know. I mean, there could be an impact, but the DTIC is working on a short-term measure to deal with this. But at the moment, there is no clarity in terms of what is going to happen and when, in order to avert this problem or catastrophe.
And exactly, that's where the problem is, because right now, the network, the gas that's flowing through it might be stable, and you're looking at the fact that possibly things could still be okay for now. But if you do not have a plan, and it's been years in the making, listening to the users over the years, they've been sounding the alarm for quite some time now. So how then do we still not have a plan in place right now to avert a potential day zero or even to dismantle the monopoly?
Yeah, well, the plan was heavily relying on Sasol. Sasol, if you remember 2016, they were quite excited that there were new wells to drill in terms of gas explorations that was happening there. And they were going to bring in that gas into South Africa. Of course it happened. But recently, they were telling us that, look, we don't think we have enough reserves there. So sorry, we can no longer give you that gas as into the future. Currently, things are fine. But the future looks quite uncertain for the users. But of course, the alternative is import. But you can't just import overnight. You need some kind of infrastructure. The whole price mechanism, that's another thing. Remember, it's NERSA that regulates the pricing. How is NERSA going to regulate that pricing if it's no longer piped through the Sasol pipeline? So there's a whole lot of model that needs to be considered. And the pricing as well. Remember, last year, Sasol asked for a 97% increase in hike for gas. So there will be changes. There must be changes. And that, how is it going to affect users? Though, if it affects users, it will affect consumers. So there's a whole lot of discourse that's also need to take place around there.
And what becomes then the impact of that, on jobs? And the economy as well, because I can't even begin to imagine.
Absolutely. When there's uncertainty, jobs are the first to go. We all know about it. So, because they want to protect shareholder value. So, currently, of course, we're not there yet, but the industries that are relying on this gas are raising alarm bells that something must happen, and it must happen now.
Sure, Tshepo. One wonders then what's going to happen, but I suppose this is one that we have to watch very closely, because you think about, the Industrial Gas Users Association speaking to Leanne, just last week on Morning Live, that while things are stable right now, it does need us to really, as a country, move with speed to try and avert a crisis here. And listening to some of what you've just said, it seems like this needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency. But thank you so much for talking to us. That is my colleague there, Tshepo Mongoai, who's our SABC Economics Editor. And one wonders then, what happens here? What's going to be the plan that is put in place? And it's a clear plan. I mean, you think about the energy master plan. Are we going to have a gas master plan? Possibly. One wonders then, what happens?